We're in the TechCrunch studio today with Sam Shank. He's the CEO and founder of Hotel Tonight and former founder of Travel Post. Sam, welcome to the studio.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So right now, today, what in your mind is the most disruptive trend in consumer mobile networks that's affecting travel?
Well, I'm a little biased, but I think that just mobile technology in general is affecting travel in a huge way. We've never had a device that you carry with yourself all the time, when you're traveling, before you're traveling, when you can be spontaneous and impulsive, and that really changes how people book and changes customer behavior.
Got it. And about sometime last year, I had written a piece trying to look at all the startups in social, in the travel space, using social as an angle. And I found that a lot of them were a little bit far away from the transaction, and travel is one of the biggest e-commerce categories, right? So what's happening there? How are there so many companies in the travel space trying to innovate, trying to use social, and doing all this stuff, and very few able to get very close to the cash part of the deal?
Well, I can speak a little bit from experience for this. My first company, Travel Post, was a hotel review site, but it started off as a social travel planning site that used travel experiences. We called it travel blogging at the time. This was in 2004. And so we were ahead of the curve on social travel planning. Realized very quickly that there was no money in it because we were so early in the purchase cycle. And as you've looked at like the stuff that I've done and I've been interested in, it's always moved down the purchase funnel to the transaction, and now we're doing transactions. And if you look at the success of the things I've done, it's gotten more successful as we've moved closer to the transaction. It's also gotten harder, it's gotten more expensive. But I think that with social travel planning, in particular, there's a lot of interest in it because it's very easy to get started with one of those companies, but very hard to scale. And then I'd also surmise that they're not really solving a burning issue. So with what we're doing with hotel booking and last minute, you need a hotel room, and that's something that you definitely need that day. We can solve a problem for you in a very elegant and convenient way. But with social travel planning, I don't know how many people wake up and say, I really need to share my travel experiences today.
I see what you're saying. And so you're in a unique position to look at this, right? Because you founded Travel Post, it was acquired by Sidestep, which was acquired by Kayak, right? And so I'd be curious to know, what learnings did you take from those kind of three experiences that were baked into Hotel Tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's really about getting closer to the transaction and getting closer to the customer. I think that the only thing I can do next is to open hotels, which I don't have much interest in doing, even though that would be a lot of fun.
Got it.
But in terms of being close to the transaction, that's where you can have a real difference with the customer. That's where you can really own the experience, and that's where you can differentiate the offering, which we've done with Hotel Tonight.
So with Hotel Tonight, iOS only right now. Right, and you've chosen.
We have Android actually. So
you have an Android app. Excuse me. Okay, so you've set this mobile customer, right? What are the interesting things you're seeing that your user base is doing with the app that you hadn't thought of before?
Yeah, so when we launched this, we had no idea how people were going to use this. We hoped that we were going to be able to open a new market for people that were booking a hotel that didn't expect to book a hotel that day. And we've actually seen that it's 50% of people are, I need a hotel. I had a business trip, or plans changed, or my flight was delayed, or those sort of typical needs for a last-minute hotel. But what's really interesting and what we've unlocked is, we call them the impulse bookers, which are 50% that are they're discretionary about whether or not they need a hotel, or they're motivated to book a hotel because of the convenience of the deal, the quality of the hotels, and the value that they're getting. So, for example, instead of going home or staying with friends or even not going out, they're deciding that, hey, let's book a hotel tonight. I can stay out later in the city or stay overnight and be more spontaneous.
And so are you seeing people buying, aside from the standard rooms, like being able to, like our hotels listing penthouses or the suites, like presidential suites that aren't being taken for the night? Like, are you seeing some crazy kind of rooms come up?
Yeah, we're experimenting with that in Las Vegas. We have some of the VIP suites at the Palms that go for $2,500 normally. We're selling them for under $1,000, and we're selling those, which are it's a lot of fun to put somebody in with in a suite they would otherwise not afford for sure.
Got it. And so I'd be curious to know too, specifically, like when you started out, and you started out iPhone only, correct?
Right.
How did you, okay, so you're going to start your next company, you have this experience from Travel Post, a lot of learning. How did you make the decision, how did you get to the point where you said, I'm going to start on the iPhone only?
Well, I wanted to do something with the iPhone in general, with the second company I was running, DealBase. And we were in the hotel deal space. It still exists and it's doing very well. It's a meta search engine for travel deals. Got that to profitability, said, all right, how do we take this and make it a mobile-only product or a mobile product? And realized that what that meant, the ideal product for booking a last-minute hotel or booking a hotel on mobile is last minute, is limited selection. It's got a lot of nice aesthetics to it, and it's got a different brand than DealBase that stands for what it does. Wait a second, we've got something really big here, but it's a completely different company. And if we focused on mobile, which is the fastest growing area of travel, and we focused on last minute, which is the fastest area of hotel booking, we could really do a better job at that than anyone else.
And how did you find in the beginning the response from the hotels? I'm just imagining the larger hotels are getting bombarded with daily deal sites and all these other options. Like, how were you able to kind of get in there and put the Hotel Tonight brand in front of them?
Yeah, so we think that a revenue manager at a hotel probably gets 2 or 3 calls a day from somebody asking them for a discount. So we have a very unique value proposition for them. We say, give us a discount, but only on the stuff that you're not going to sell otherwise. So it's day of, they load their rooms and their rates, the discounted rate that they want to move, that will move those rooms. And they know that they're not cannibalizing any inventory because they know that day that they've got 20, 30, 50 rooms that aren't going to go unsold. So it's a great value proposition. It's very hotel friendly. We don't compete with them for advanced purchase bookings. And in fact, we introduce them to a lot of new customers that they then can convert into loyal users.
Got it. And now you mentioned a few minutes ago that it's, a lot of the social startup in travel. It's easy to kind of get going because there's a lot of data out there and you can aggregate it, but it's tougher to scale, right? And tougher to get closer to transaction. How are you guys thinking about scaling? You're already at 30 people. You're now multi-platform. Are you getting calls to go into different markets? Are you trying to expand into cities? How are you planning on scaling and growing the company?
Yeah, so we look at a couple of different dimensions. One is adding more cities. We've announced with our last round of financing that we're going to be going international, and that's in the works. We added Napa and Sonoma, which is our fastest growing market since we've launched it last weekend. And then we add new properties within certain cities is another way to grow. We just launched the Wynn, which is one of my favorite hotels in general, and a top hotel in Las Vegas, of course. And that's going really well for us and for them. And then we also look at new platforms and new mobile ways to communicate and get in front of people when they need a last-minute hotel, and new mobile devices and technologies.
Got it. And so as a final question, I think there are a lot of people working on travel-related startups or, in the space in general. What would be the advice that you would share from your experience and people, who have ideas and looking at the space, and obviously there's a lot of activity?
It's a fantastic market. What attracted me to it initially is that it's fun because it's an area of passion for people. It's a hobby. When you say to somebody, hey, here's $10,000 in 2 weeks, what are you going to do? They're invariably going to say, I'm going to go travel. So it's a great, fun category to be in. It's also a large category, and hotel has phenomenal margins. The hard part about travel is that it's low frequency of use, so it's very hard to develop habitual behavior that gets people back into a product, the way that you could with a daily deal site where somebody could buy the deal every day, or a discounted clothing site where you could buy stuff every week or even every day there. So what I'd say is that if you're looking at travel, make sure your product is highly differentiated and differentiated in every possible way. And we looked at that with Hotel Tonight. So it was platform, it was brand, it was merchandising, it was types of hotels, it was editorial. Every little thing that we could differentiate on, we did. And we still look for more areas to differentiate on. So that's if your product isn't highly differentiated, it's going to be very hard to get any traction on it.
Because TripAdvisor's top 50, and you can't crack that.
I've already tried to compete against them once before, and I'm glad I'm no longer doing it. Yeah.
Got it. Well, thanks for coming in, Sam, and good luck to you in 2012.
Thank you.